Hey everybody, and welcome back to another casted game here at the Age of Bison YouTube. This is another series coming from our team of 1v1 between Lord Gator and Jelly. These are two players that have been around the community a bit. They participated in various events, so these are your, in my opinion, textbook definition of mid-elo heroes. You know, they play a lot of games, they understand their civs. They may not always have perfect mechanics or execution, but the general concepts are there, which makes for very equitable and exciting games. And speaking of good equals, I am joined here today by my longtime co-host and the often leader of the Sunbros clan, generalSpades. generalSpades, how's it going?
Oh, you know, we're back, baby. We're casting games, and we're here to have a good time. So let's get it, huh?
Exactly. You know, this matchup on this map, Great Plains, Lakota, Spain, two tempo civs, very much kind of classical matchups. Now, I know you play a lot of Spain. I play a lot of Lakota. So I'm very curious on what your thoughts and feelings are on this matchup.
Well, Spain, is a classic FF Civ, so they're going to try and do that. I believe Lakota, as you're well aware, very much wants to get in, try and get some raids. I think both teams, both civs, have good winning chances. It really just depends on micro, and if Spain can get an age ahead, then it might be spell trouble for Lakota. But again, if Lakota can take advantage of the map with all the hunts and some good well-timed raids, then it'll just come down essentially to who micros better, I guess, executes their strategy.
Exactly. And looking at openings here, it looks like Lakota opening with a market, not opting to open with a TP that is common, but he's probably anticipating. Yep. Great job here. Sorry for the momentary pause, but basically when you're on a map like Great Plains, a classic, players tend to know where all of the good treasures are, and they know what the values are. And so already Lakota is going to maximize this by getting hunting dogs and probably a TP after he gets this treasure.
85 wood is huge.
Yes, especially for a civ like Lakota. I agree with your earlier assessment. Rod Skirm Lancer can be a bit of a trouble for Lakota, but then Lakota also has extremely fast infantry. Their skirms, while not the best skirm in the game, will still do a lot of damage into rods, especially when they're faster under the Chief Aura. So it's a very tricky matchup, like you said. I don't think each civ has a clear, distinct advantage. I would say maybe a bit Spain favored, but at the same time, ultimately this is a skill matchup.
And on that point, looking at historical data over the last year, this actually does lean toward Lakota pretty heavily.
Really?
Probably just in terms of rating. Lakota's got a lot of favorable matchups historically, so it'd be interesting to see if Jelly here is able to take advantage of that. Yeah. For sure.
And not opting for a TP, maybe a bit of a missed opportunity, but I'm going to let the man cook because, again, starting with the market, this is hardly, a huge detriment for the Civ. So let's take a look here at decks. Now, I'm not a Spade main, but to me that looks fairly standard what I see on the ladder. Spades, what do you think?
Capitalism's definitely a somewhat non-standard card, I think. Spain obviously taking a trade post. I have seen games where Spain takes a trade post and does send both of those cards in Age 1, so it's not out of the question. Obviously lots of unit shipments in Age 3, including the two Falcons. We're not going to see Halbs, no Purashiki, but definitely pretty standard deck. Probably going to power spike, fast fortress, and then try and push hard. So we'll see if he's able to do that. Another interesting point. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I completely forgot what I was going to say. So
well, don't worry about it.
Ignore me.
While you think about that, so looking at here, like the various treasures, I think Jelly's missed an opportunity, right, to spend his wood. Again, a TP in the middle would be boosting all of this, right? It'd be effectively another almost 2 Vils, right, at a 17 Vil pop, which I guess is 2, so 1.5 Vils effectively under the TP aura. As for the capitalism, I think Spain is going to opt for like an FF. I think capitalism has become more popular because the tempo that Spain often gets in Age 3 shipments, it's spectacular. So we might just be seeing kind of a classic FF strategy here from Spain, right? Basically saying, look, if Lakota doesn't Warhut rush me, I'm fine. course, if Lakota rush up, this might be a rough one.
We'll have to see what the Spanish player. What is the Spanish player aging up with? I see they're already on their way.
Looks like Governor. Nope, sorry, wrong one. But I believe, yeah, it is the Governor. I don't see any forward vills from Lakota, so I think it's safe to assume Lakota is going for probably some sort of semi-FF play.
Governor definitely speaks toward playing, toward that fast fort. You get that 200 coin. You drop a tower in base, yep, to protect your vills from raids. And things seem to be going relatively smoothly. I remember what I was going to say, by the way, Platt, in this professional cast. We are going into this blind. We're just going to see what happens. We don't know who wins or who loses. Or anything about this game, really. So it should be an interesting one to discover, along with you, our viewers.
Exactly, yeah. And now it looks like, is Lakota also FFing? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is unusual.
So this looks more like an economical FF, or I guess still pretty relatively standard FF for Spain, right? But Spain's basically saying, look, I'm going to ship a little bit extra vills. So that way I have the eco advantage. I'm going to age up a bit slower than my opponent, but he's probably assuming some sort of, semi-FF or play from Lakota. So I kind of like it, but at the same time, I think that extra tempo might be a problem against a civ like Lakota that can get units like Takala. Rifle riders, are a real, I wouldn't say a problem, but if there's a screening unit, they will eat rods alive.
Some little bit of hurting mishaps from Spain here, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him, but I don't see any forward military buildings from either player, so it makes sense with the early coin gather from Lakota, which I think he built that in Age 1 and was actually gathering coin in Age 1 too. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the Lakota player, well, this was in transition from 1 to 2.
Okay.
And it looks like he is still heavily macroed. I wonder if he's just going to go Rifle Rider Wakina or something. This is a very interesting macro. I don't typically see this.
Those players up to 3 already, it looks like.
Spain going up with the scout. Yep, 4 Hussar. So I would say so far Spain has a more kind of traditional approach, right? Now he's going to build houses. He's going to have his shipment ready. Looking at Lakota now, I'm trying to remember what the warrior gives him. I think it's like 2 Tokala on the way up to 3. I could be wrong. It could be just a few axe riders.
And you said you were a Lakota knowledgeable person. But we do see some axe riders out, it looks like. Gonna grab this huge villager treasure in the middle.
Nice. Good job. I must say I've really enjoyed Jelly's use of the map so far. It seems like he's definitely very well versed on this map, and he's getting the most out of it.
Yep. And I definitely think on top of that, you have the natives here on this map that are also pretty beneficial for Lakota more than Spain, but we'll see if those come into play at all.
Exactly. Like if he's, is it all Apache? Nope, 1 Sheon in the center, or 2 Sheon usually, and then, yeah, the Buffalo, really great tech for, of course, a civ that boosts, its yields on hunts, plus there's a few other techs, which we never really actually looked. Shunke. Okay. Is this like an FI? No, he's going to go age 3 with this macro, but perhaps he's trying to get up to Shunki Prowlers. Pretty standard Lakota deck, I must say, other than maybe the advanced card, but he clearly wants to go to age 4 and use these.
Even with all those age 4 cards, that's standard?
Not necessarily. I would say usually, you kind of fill out these areas a bit more in age 2, but he's got all the necessary cards in 2 and 3, so he's got a lot of flexibility. But let's watch the action. These Huss, yes.
They're dead.
Yeah. I mean, but there's always pathing,
Yeah. Don't quite know if the Lakota player actually spotted those Hussar, but he's out hunting for something. If we turn the Fog of War on, we can kind of see, wow, that's great scouting from Lakota, actually.
Yes. Let's check out Lord Gator's POV. All right. Other than the opponent's base too, pretty good job there. And again, when you have the Lakota Explorer out, you tend to be a lot more cautious, right? Because you can just get caught out, and then one bad fight, you lose your mask because you can't run away from a Lakota player.
Valk Rod? So obviously Spain is well prepped, knows that it's more than likely that the Lakota player is going to come with some cavalry. Sure enough, the cavalry is going to come in, and the rods are going to be there to greet them.
Okay, now here comes the fight. Now those rods. Okay, so the rifle riders would counter the rods. Yep. So, but he's gonna have to micro. And you know what the problem is? Spain needs skirms or goons because this composition, assuming his opponent can micro, those rifle riders are a big problem. Ooh, but he gets the snare. Oh, backs off. Okay. Man, this is just intense. I'm sure you've been on the other side of this as the Spain player. Like, man, these are like some of the most intense battles because these two civs, like if those rods connect with the cav, it's over. If those rods get blasted by the rifle riders so that the hand cav of Lakota can come in, it's over.
Now the Wakina rifles are coming in. We see maybe trying to get some raids from Spain, but those Wakina rifles are going to do dirty to the rods as well. So definitely need the Spain player here to try and mix in a second unit to counter the 3-unit comp that we're seeing so far from Lakota.
And it looks like
Edge Lakota, I'd say right now.
Yep, definitely. Even though the score is a little bit low, for those that don't know, Lakota does tend to underscore because it doesn't have a lot of infrastructure, right? So not as many houses, forts, that type of stuff.
Don't need houses when you already got 200 pop.
Yeah. And I guess you don't need TPs either. That would be like I said. I'm curious if and Jelly, you watch this if you're just an old school Lakota player and you haven't quite integrated all the new TP kind of meta, or you just don't care for them and you got a better strategy. I'd love to hear it. Lancers now, though, coming out for Spain. Spain, yep. Skirm Rod Lancer. This is the Spanish comp.
That is the 3-unit comp. So it looks like we're going to have... maybe... No, not worth it to sacrifice. For sure. You are going to sacrifice... He is going to sacrifice a Huss to get the other 3 out. And it looks like 3 Hussar are going to be chased by... Nope, never mind.
Okay, it looks like building more rifle riders, mixing in axe riders. Yeah, this is a great unit, but it's definitely something I feel like a lot of players overinvest into. You know, it's a unit you want to spam, but not that high numbers. You know, axe rider Wakina, you could have twice as many Wakina at this point and just slam, you know, axe rider Wakina into this and be fine.
So we're going to have to see. Lakota's not going to really be able to put much pressure with the mass that Spain has in his base, along with the tower and the 2 Falcons still just hanging out, ready to... Ooh, big engagement here. Let's see what happens.
Okay, Takala moving in. You know, these are kind of Lancer units of themselves. Yeah, those Lancers, they really don't have a good target, but at the same time, those Falcons are doing just amazing damage. And, oh, wow, look at that. I think Lakota's getting cleaned up. Yeah. Now, if those rods connect, oh, no.
And the rods need to come in. Lancer's going to be chasing the Wakina rifles out, too. That is some good micro from Spain here.
Yeah.
The rods are hopping on. Rifle Riders actually doing work on those rods.
You know, they're doing work, but look, the skirms are going to be eating them. Now the Minutemen called, and just like that, I mean, Lakota's army's dead, and Lakota does not have the same economy that Spain does not have the same tempo.
Did Spain keep his Falcons alive? That's what's most important, because if the Falcons are alive, then it should be a push. No, the Falcons died. Okay, so
you
Spain
know what?
can't
Look at the
push.
score. If you looked at that score, you'd probably push too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yep. Okay. Although we do have a remass, a little bit of a remass from Lakota here. I don't know that that's enough, but... And, you know, Spain, actually, now that I think about it, maybe they don't need the Falcons because, like you said, there's no infrastructure to siege down. Tear down some war huts. And that's really all there is to tear down for the Spain player here.
And I will say, though, I love rifle riders just because they're micro. But he sent 8 vills, and oh man, if Lord Gator sees this, that's GG because he does not have enough mass.
There's 1 vill, 2 vills going down immediately after they got shipped. That is no good.
Well, I think 8 vills was just too greedy. I think he needed to ship, you know, even the 3 Takala. Yep, 3 Takala would have been a better call. Or selling
all those
food.
units in his H3 deck, and he hasn't sent any of them yet.
Oh no! Oh, now the rods are in. Oh, yeah. This is ugly.
We got skirms shooting on the vills in the back too. That's certainly a distraction tactic. I like it. Pick off 1 or 2, and this is really not looking good for Lakota here.
No, it's not. I don't want to call it prematurely GG, but this is looking pretty close to GG because, yeah, the skirms will counter the rifle riders. Yeah, this Tokala, if that had been out, maybe it was a misclick by Jelly or something, but yeah, this is rough.
Be interesting to see the post-game graph, how many Vills. Oh, and here's the remass of Lancers to try and deal with the Wakina that are there.
Yep. Yeah, those Lancers, they're just going to slaughter the Wakina. And then there's just too much skirms. You know, Lakota doesn't have any hand cav. This Tokala needed to be out. Again, if they had been out, I think Lakota had a chance to hold, but, you know, just because the timing was off, the coin was off, or sorry, not the coin, but the going for economy over military units. Yep, and the GG is called.
And just like that, Spain prevails over the slightly advantageous, according to the statistics, Lakota main, and game 1 goes to Lord Gator.
Just, I think, really excellent job. You know, Jelly, I think had a really good idea. I did like how they executed the FF. I do think that rifle riders probably have more utility into Spain, which likes to FF with Falcons, Lancers, and Rods, right? I mean, those are 3 different unit types that the rifle riders counter, but then you still need to have an answer for this. And it can either be a bunch of skirm of your own, the Wakina, right? Because Lakota can kind of mask them for really cheap, even if they're not the best stats, or making sure you have enough to call out. So I think it's just a bit of disorganization from Lakota, paired with the fact that I think Lord Gator had a much more efficient, effective, and good split micro here, making sure Lancers were on skirms, Rods were onto the rifle riders. I think just Lord Gator played a little bit better, and it results in a commanding victory.
Well, and I think it boils down to Lakota tried to FF, and I don't think that was the right decision. As you can see, he's outgathered. I don't know if he ever got his market text in. He might have. I might have seen that, but I don't think FF was the right decision, strategy-wise.
No. Typically, when you're Lakota, you have to apply pressure to your opponent's base because your economy can't sustain, your army can't sustain, and you need to idle your opponent as much as possible, scalpel a Vil, force them to make units, you know, try to keep them off their game, right? If you're fighting against Spain, I mean, other than Spain running into a Chile revolt, or just to give you your rifle riders the perfect unit combination to murder, it's not something you want to see, is Spain be able to go FF so safely. So, yep, there you go. That tells you all you need to know. So, any closing thoughts, Spades?
No. I think maybe Lakota tried to do something unique just to try and keep Spain on her toes, but didn't quite work this time.
I agree. Well, if you've made it this far, guys, let us know. Leave a comment. You know, give us your thoughts on if there's things Lakota could have done to improve, or ways that, you know, you liked either player do. You know, definitely give these guys kudos. Everyone here is playing for the love of the game, so we and the players appreciate all the feedback. Thanks for letting us cast Lord Gator and Jelly, and if we get time, we'll be able to cast the rest of their series. Until then, please leave a like, subscribe, and we will see you all on...
And one more comment. If you got to this point in the video, comment cheesecake soup.
Cheesecake soup. Love it. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.